Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to Strategic Boardroom. That is actually the official name of my business now. I have been working as a strategist for a while, and I was actually just working under my own name. So I'll just go ahead and make that public. So it is. So welcome to Strategic Boardroom, and today I want to talk about credit scores and what you don't know. I often ask a somewhat baited question to folks when I get in front of a room and start asking questions around credit score. And now, just so you understand where I come from and my understanding of credit, I was in the banking world for a number of years. And I took a 12-step program. I'm feeling much better now. I'm just kidding. But no, I was a commercial credit analyst for a number of years. And it was I learned a lot, and I learned a lot actually about how credit worked. So what I'm looking at when I look at credit scores as a credit analyst, I didn't really even know the stuff that I'm about to show you. And the reason why is because bankers just don't know this stuff. So when I ask the question, and the baited question I would ask is, how many credit scores are there? And people always put their hand up there. There's 3 credit scores. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And they're not wrong. There are 3 credit reporting agencies, but there's actually a lot more scores than that. And depending on what you're looking for, and actually there could be a number of different credit scores, way more than 3. And I'm going to show you what they actually look like here. So depending on what you're looking to do and what kind of loan that you're going to get, that's where I'm going to show you guys today. So first of all, let me explain to you guys what the only score that matters is your FICO score. And FICO, it stands for Fair Isaacs Credit Organization, maybe. That sounds about right. But the FICO is the only score that banks really look at. Could that change in the future? Sure. But as of right now, on this date, and for the last, I don't even know how many years, FICO has been the only score that banks really have looked at that I can tell you. And I was in banking for a while. I was in real estate. I'm still in real estate, but that's the only score that they look at. And it's certainly the only score that I looked at as an underwriter. And many banks, especially large banks, are trying to go to automatic underwriting because paying a guy like me to be a credit analyst to pour through papers, well, let's face it, it costs me money. You've got to train me. I take sick days. I get sick. I want time off. I want medical. I make mistakes, right? So they want to go to an automatic underwriting as much as possible for many, many types of loans. So FICO is the only score that matters. Why am I telling you this? Because many places and many organizations that give you the free score, right? Hey, log in and check your credit score for free. Unless it says FICO, it is not a real score. Okay, so if it says Vantage or anything like that, it's not a real score. It's not a score that the bankers are going to look at. So in other words, if you say, oh, I've got a 720 Vantage score, you can't hang your hat on that and go in and get a mortgage and say, oh, I've got a 720 credit score. And then the lender pulls it up and they go, no, you don't. You've got something vastly different. And oftentimes, it's actually much lower. So I'm going to show you a couple of things today that you don't know and where you can actually go to check your real credit score and see. Yes, you can get them for free. But in this type of realm, especially for those of you who are in real estate, or if you're in business on your own where you rely on other people's money and you rely on the access to credit, then this might be something you really want to educate yourself on, and it's worth spending a little bit of extra money to know what your actual scores are. So let's talk about the FICO score. So the first score that you actually have in terms of FICO is your FICO score 8. So what is your FICO score 8? Your FICO score 8 is your unweighted score. That's generally the score if you get a free score from, say, like Discover Card or your Chase card, or say Capital One, or whoever gives you a free score and it has the word FICO attached to it. this is generally the score that you're going to get for free. So what does that mean? Well, is that your mortgage score? Generally not. It's generally they're not the same. Generally it's going to be a different number. So in other words, if you have a 700 FICO 8 score, you might have a very materially different mortgage score, as much as 50 to 60 points lower than your FICO score 8. And the reason for that is because the FICO score 8 measures different things. What does it measure? I have no idea. And I don't think anybody at FICO can even tell you, because they're all locked in separate rooms and they're not allowed to talk to each other. But who knows? I'm sure that someone knows. But the point is that the FICO score 8 is an unweighted score. And what that means is that it's really only used for automatic credit line increases, okay? Or sometimes I would even say decreases. Do I know that for sure? I don't. But I'm just saying, have you ever had a credit card, you're making the payments all along and you have a $25,000 credit limit and all of a sudden they bump you to $50,000? Well, I've had that happen, and this is the score that they use for automatic credit line increases. Now, you can always, turn down those increases if you don't want them, but generally, this is the score that they're going to use for automatic credit line increases, and this is the only score that is used in any sort of credit decisions at all when it comes to automatic credit line increases. So, in terms of the FICO score 8, it's not that it's irrelevant. It's just not used in lending decisions. And you're going to see here in just a second what I'm talking about. So let's talk about, okay, well, let's say I am trying to get a mortgage, or let's say I am trying to leverage real estate in my business so I can use it for working capital or wherever else it is, and they're checking my credit score. Well, this is where they're going to use something called a mortgage score, okay? And this is the FICO 5, 4, and 2. FICO 5, 4, and 2. So these are versions. These are different versions of FICO. Obviously, FICO 2 is a lot older than FICO 5, but it depends. It depends on what they're pulling and where you can actually get these scores. I'm going to mention it now, but I'm also going to mention it again. Is you can go to an app on your phone and go to myfico.org. I'm going to go ahead and create. I didn't do this earlier, but it's fico.org. And what that will do, so I'm just going to put that up. So if you go there, and it costs money, you can get one for free, and they'll give you the free, the FICO score 8. But if you want the other scores, you do have to pay money. For one, I get no money for this, so I'm just letting you know in advance, like you can do this, and there's no hidden code here. If you go to MyFICO, you download the app. I think it's $20 to get one score. I think it might be Experian, and then to get the other two, to get all three, it's like $40. I pay the $40 a month because I want to know all three, and I want to know all of my scores in all of my categories, and I want to know if there's credit pulls in different areas that I wouldn't otherwise know, because they're region dependent, right? Depending on who's reporting where. Generally, they're fairly similar, but they're not always the same in terms of the credit reporting. So go to myfico.org. I'll hit that again here at the end. But if you're looking at your mortgage score, your FICO 5, 4, and 2, those three scores can be materially different from your FICO 8. Okay, from your FICO score 8. Remember, the FICO score 8 is the free score that you get when you're doing free inquiries. And then your FICO 5, 4, and 2, that will show up on that app, like I told you, at myfico.org. So let's say, for argument's sake, that you're not trying to get a real estate mortgage, but you're trying to get a car loan. Well, that is where you get the FICO Auto Score 8. The FICO Auto Score 8 is another way that they measure, and those scores, again, can be materially different from the FICO 8 and the FICO 5, 4, and 2 mortgage scores from any other scores, right? Or I'm going to talk about the FICO Bank Card Score 8 here in just a second. But again, this is a different score that they use. So again, if you're thinking about going and shopping for a car, and you think your credit score is at a 750 because you're looking at Vantage, or you're looking at your free FICO score 8, that's not going to be, generally it's not going to be the same score. Ideally, they should be very similar, but there's lots of reasons why they're not. Way beyond my pay grade to tell you, get into all that right now. But I know a little bit, but not a lot. But I can tell you from what I have figured out and what I have gleaned and what I've been able to research, they are different, and there's varying reasons as to why. So the last score that I'm talking to you about is the FICO Bank Card Score 8. So the FICO Bank Card Score 8 is it's basically, this is the score that banks will use when they are making credit decisions on issuing you a credit card. Okay, so therefore the Bank Card Score 8, and this is why it is called the Bank Card Score 8. So again, just to review, when we're looking at FICO scores, you're looking at FICO Score 8, right? That's the unweighted score. Then you've got the mortgage score, which is 5, 4, and 2. You've got the auto score 8, which is going to obviously be for auto loans. And then you've got the FICO Bank Card Score 8. But wait, there's more, right? As if it's not complicated enough. There's actually 2 new scores that they use, and they have not really picked up a lot of early adopters just yet from banks, because banks tend to be fairly slow in adopting these new credit models. But the FICO Score 9 and the FICO Score 10. Now, the FICO Score 9 was actually released, I think last year, and I think the FICO Score 10 was just released this year. And I may be getting this wrong, but I don't see the FICO Score 9 anymore. I only see the FICO Score 10. And that's interesting because for some reason, I'm just thinking that maybe the banks didn't adopt that as they thought that they would, and they just thought that, well, let's just come up with a FICO Score 10 because it's going to measure different things. Who knows? Again, the banks are in the business of managing risk, and that's what they use these scores for. So again, that's really all I wanted to do, is initiate you guys in terms of the fact that there are more than just 3 scores. There's lots of different scores depending on the type of loan and the type of lending that you're doing. If you have a lot of consumer debt, then it may be more difficult for you to get a commercial type loan or get automatic underwriting on a commercial type loan if you're looking for business credit. Okay, so it just depends, and I don't want to get into a whole can of worms there because that's a whole other kettle of fish. But here's what I'm saying: if you want to be more educated in terms of what your credit scores actually are, and if you are going to be going out shopping for a new vehicle, if you are going to be going out shopping for a new mortgage or buying a house, it might make sense for you to at least pay the $40 for a period of time just so you can see what those scores are. And then you can start to, the really cool thing in the MyFICO app is they actually have a calculator where you can toggle things and move things around, and actually they'll have a simulator in terms of where your credit score will go. And I'll be honest with you, it's pretty accurate. My credit score right now is pretty decent, but I don't really use bank credit as much as I used to. I use credit cards, but mostly for the points for travel. But I really don't use bank credit as much as I used to, just because it's really not where I'm at right now. A lot of it I'm either self-funding or I'm using private money. So this is your credit score. And again, what you don't know, it can cost you. It can cost you in terms of time. It can cost you in terms of rate. It can cost you a lot of different things. And let me just make one final point. Places like Credit Karma and these other places where you can actually fix your credit and all this stuff, they have a purpose. They do serve a purpose. And I can tell you that for me, when I was trying to get my credit figured out back coming out of 2012 from all my foreclosures and issues that I had with that stuff, it is fairly accurate in terms of the stuff that gets reported to your credit report. However, the scores are what are incorrect. They are not FICO scores. So if you're not really too worried about the score, but you are worried about the monitoring, I think something like, again, this is just my opinion, I think something just like a simple Credit Karma app could give you all the information that you need if you're looking for stuff like that. All right, that is all I have. It is good to see you guys. So hopefully this was helpful. If you're looking for more content like this, you can like and subscribe or head over to markdolfini.com. As always, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time.